All right, guys, welcome to Season 1, Episode 8 of the Luke Ashley Playbook Podcast. This is probably going to be the last episode for this season. We're super excited for it, and we are glad you guys are here. We just finished recording, and Ash was like, we need to redo this intro because I got super long-winded, But
at the end, he gives great advice, a great analogy, and I
No.
loved how he tied the whole episode together. So definitely push through this episode because there's some good stuff at the end. And then also, we want to talk about what this episode is sponsored by.
That comes after the break because we already talked about that.
Oh, we did?
before.
Okay,
Yeah.
just want to make sure.
Yeah, we did all this before.
Oh,
We just
okay.
had
Just
redo
wanna
it.
make sure.
Yeah, anyways, I get a gold star. Yeah. All right, roll that intro music. All right, guys, welcome to Season 1, Episode 8 of the Luke and Ashley Playbook Podcast. It has been a couple days since we last filmed.
Yes, I'm ready to get all this filming done so that way my dining room is clear of all the studio equipment.
That's right. If you are listening to the Luke and Ashley Playbook Podcast in the podcast form, we also have a video form that we are doing on YouTube as well. So it's like a video podcast / audio podcast all happening at the same time. So if you want to come over and watch us on YouTube, you can. So it's the Luke and Ashley Playbook Podcast on YouTube, or if you're listening or watching, vice versa. So if you want to come see what our setup looks like, you can do so. I changed shirts. I did. I even sprayed cologne on. Do I smell good for you?
You do smell good. I wish it. Well, no, that's weird. Never mind.
Whoa. Boop. X-rated. Put a beep there. Yes. So we've been having fun with this. Again, like I said, we are in Season 1, Episode 8. I'm really excited for this episode because it's going to be all about comparison, right? So if you've hopped in, this is your very first episode you've watched or heard, the Luke and Ashley Playbook Podcast is, for Season 1, is everything that we would recommend for a photographer, videographer, whoever's in the wedding industry business. You could be a high school senior photographer, whatever. Or things that you should be doing that we feel you should be doing from the 0 to 2 year mark. So how to run your business, how to do certain things. And this particular episode is going to be on comparison. So like we've been doing for the last 8 episodes or 7 episodes, we're going to kick it off with our intro music. This is the weirdest intro so far, but hit that music. All right, guys, welcome back. Again, I love that intro. It's super cool. It's a lot of fun. And for this episode, I'm proud to say, just like our previous episode in episode 7, we are sponsored by 17 Hats.
Yeah, we love 17 Hats.
We are 17 Hats ambassadors. If you are a photographer looking for the perfect CRM to run your business, especially in the 0 to 2 year mark, this is where it's all critical. Go back and listen to episode 7. We go into everything about the CRM, our pros, and there might even be one con, but I don't recall if there are cons with 17 Hats. But we go over all the things that we love about 17 Hats, why we got into it. We've been with 17 Hats now for 10 years. We've stuck
10 years?
Yep, 10 years.
Wow.
That we've stuck steady with 17 Hats, and it's been amazing. And we go into way more in depth about all the things. And of course, you can watch or listen to that episode, Season 1, Episode 7. So thank you, 17 Hats, for sponsoring these things. So they're sponsoring it in regards to, if you click our referral link, you get some extra bonuses when you do that. But they haven't paid us anything for our opinions. It's just fun stuff. Again, that's episode 7, not this episode. So let's talk about comparison. This is all you. I'm not going to say nothing in this.
I highly doubt that.
Nothing.
I highly doubt that. So comparison. Whew. Let's see. I think if you are in the creative industry at all, any avenue that you're in, you're going to hit, unless you are just a freaking rock star who doesn't care what anybody thinks.
You have thick skin.
Yes, you are going to hit the comparison trap. And
is it like the Parent Trap? Is it the same thing?
no.
Oh.
So the comparison trap is when you are constantly bombarded or looking at what your competitors are doing, the industry is doing, and you get to the point where you get stuck and you feel like you can't move forward because your work is not good enough. So we have hit that a couple times in our journey of photography. And so we're just going to talk about that a little bit more, especially in the 0 to 2 mark. I feel like it's very important to address it because it is normal to feel and it is normal to experience in your business. And I think that looking at competition and looking at what other people in your industry are doing is important, but you just have to really be careful not to fall into a trap to where you can't move forward in your business.
I'm in comparison with you.
You're never gonna
I struggle.
add up
to you.
To me.
Oh goodness. Yeah, I would say if we're talking because we plan on talking about this more in future seasons, so I got to really think through a lot of this and our opinions on it. If you're trying to, oh gosh, I don't even know. Like 0 to 2 is like such a crucial year for a time frame for any photographer. Like you've picked up a camera and you've realized, wow, I really want to take pictures. And you start going on the internet and you start looking around and you start trying to find inspiration. You're looking at Pinterest, you're looking at Instagram. Like when we started back in 2011, I don't even think Instagram was a thing. It may have been a thing, but we weren't on it. And Facebook was definitely a thing going on. I don't even think Pinterest was even out yet.
And blogging started.
Blogging was like the big thing.
Yeah, blogging was a huge thing. So I remember following people's blogs and.
I think we started photography as blogging was on its very quick way of peaking and maintaining that hold for a good 4 to 5 years. And then it started to kind of decline a little bit as social media kind of took over. But yeah, you as a photographer are going to be going out and looking at so many different people. And what's going to happen is you're going to take your camera, you're going to go out for a shoot like we did. You're going to photograph somebody, you're going to film somebody, and then you're going to come back and you're going to edit your images, you're going to look at them, and then you're going to go online and see what old other photographer down the road did, and then you're going to be like, dang, my images don't look like that. And two things happen to you. You mentally just say, okay, cool. I'm growing, I'm brand new, or two, you go, I'm not going to be good enough, or I'm not good enough. And I think what a lot of people realize is that at this stage of the game, you're not going to be good enough. And these opinions might be harsh at sometimes from Luke. Ash is a lot more tactful with her words sometimes, but I'm just going to say, like, you're not good yet. And that's 100% okay, because the whole goal of this, just like if you were to learn how to play the guitar, play drums, play a musical instrument, get good at something, is you're never going to be good at the very beginning. And you have to practice and you have to work on your skill sets to move forward and to get better. And eventually you're going to get really good.
I think that, again, at the 0 to 2 year mark in your business where you're at right now, I think that it's important, again, to look at that competition, to look at what the industry is doing. But the only person that you should be comparing yourself to is yourself. So when you go out and you're shooting, especially in this age, or this point of your business, because you're learning. So every time that you go out and you do a shoot, you do a wedding, whatever it is, compare that shoot to your last one. Compare what you did, and do you see growth? Do you see growth in your posing, in your lighting? That's what you really need to be comparing yourself to. And if you feel like you're getting stuck, if you feel like you're getting discouraged, like, so-and-so, they're amazing. Well, how long have they been in business? How long have they been shooting? Most of the time when we're looking at what other people are doing, they have been doing this for a while. They're not, in that 0 to 2 year mark. So again, ask yourself that. And then if you're still like finding yourself like struggling, like I'm just not good enough, or, you feel like you don't even want to go out and shoot because you just keep hitting that wall, stop following them. And we've had to do that. And I told Luke, I was like, we don't need to discuss that. We'll wait till later. But I think it is important to brush over. If you're getting stuck and you're hitting that wall, it's okay to mute photographers. It's okay to mute the competition.
Don't mute us.
Yeah, don't mute us.
No, I'm just kidding.
But that way you can just kind of get out of that noise of all these good images, because there's always going to be someone that's better than you. Always. So just get out of that and just focus on where you're at. And from your last session, do you see growth? Look at your work and criticize your own work and where you can grow.
Yeah, I think it's good to compare yourself. Like, for example, we'll talk a little bit about our story, and because I remember the first few years of us jumping into it. When we found out about photography, when we found out, in our very first episode, we talked about how we got into photography. A family's like, hey, we'll pay you $25 to shoot our family session. And then we got on the internet and started looking at all those things. There were people that were a good 3 to 4 years ahead of us. And the reason why we found them is because, SEO and their websites stood out, different things like that, and they were easy to find. So we are immediately at day one comparing ourselves to a 4-year, 3-year in-business photographer. And there was a lot of things that are great about that. One of them is, like, as you begin this exploration, and YouTube wasn't as big back then, I don't think, with the education. Yeah, there was not the education like you see now. There wasn't education at all, really, back then.
Well, no, there was, because that's how I learned how to shoot, was through YouTube.
YouTube, but not like it is now. Like, it's very
definitely grown.
Large difference.
That's how I learned how to shoot, was through YouTube.
So we would look at a photographer and be like, what lens did they shoot? And you're looking at a photo and you're like breaking it down. You're like, okay, we like, and this is also where you start discovering your style. Is like, do I like the wide open, bokeh, blurry backgrounds, aperture look? Where the person's in focus and the background's really soft and fuzzy. Do I like the all-in focus? What are some of those things? And you begin to start discovering your aesthetic style from all of that. And so then you find that photographer and you start following that photographer, and then you kind of filter out who you want to be like. And it's funny because we talked about this with some other friends a couple months ago, is that when we started following the photographers we did in 2011, and they had already been shooting for about 4 years, those photographers, when they started, were referencing photographers, let's say back in 2008, or whatever it was that they were doing it. They were referencing photographers that were shooting like photographers in the early 2000s, and those in the early 2000s are referencing the 1900s, the 90s photographers. Goodness. And so there's this like trickle effect that happens, is that as somebody gets in, they start trying to find their style, and they start trying to mimic it and figure out how they break it down. Kind of went a little bit off topic, but that's kind of like the exploratory process that you'll be comparing yourself to. Do I want to shoot like this person? Do I want my pictures to look like selective coloring from the 90s, or do I want to look like Luke Ashley or somebody else that's in your local area that you're watching and stuff like that? And so from there, you start to compare camera settings. Are they shooting, what aperture could they be shooting at? What lens are they using right there? What focal length is happening? How is the light? Is it behind them? Is it beside, to the side? Where is it? Where are they sitting at? Where's the couple sitting? Where's the family sitting at? And those comparisons are great because you're trying to learn. You're trying to look at a situation. You're trying to place yourself there as a photographer and think through those scenarios. So then when you go out on your next session, you're kind of mentally in your mind going, okay, this is what that one photographer did. This is what that one photographer did. And then you do your best to capture it. But where the trouble comes is when you come home and then you try to compare that work that you just did to that person. And then you're like, this sucks. I'm never going to be a good photographer. I'm not going to be great at this. But like Ash said, you don't compare your work to them. You compare it to your last session. I know for us, like when we first started doing families, there's one family that we shot, and we stuck them under a tree, and it was so light speckling coming through because we didn't know where to put them under the tree, and it was probably noon or during the summertime. But there was like spots of light on their face, and we could have just flipped them around, and their back could have been to the sun, and it would have looked better. But you're going through all these things. You're trying to learn, like, do I put their back to the sun, because then it's going to be blown out, and then you're trying to solve that problem because you just don't know that problem yet, how to solve that. And so the comparison goes two ways. You're looking on how to grow and get better, but you're also looking on how you're beating yourself up because you're not looking like someone else yet. And I think that's like probably one of the biggest things to think about in 0 to 2.
Yeah, definitely.
Gosh, that was a lot. I was trying
that was
I was
a
trying
lot.
to
If
really
you guys
bring my
hung
thoughts.
on to that and you're still here, I appreciate that
You
so
subscribe
much.
because you hung on.
Yes. So just if you're feeling discouraged, if you're feeling like you're hitting a wall, if you're feeling like maybe I'm not good enough, maybe I should just quit, just look at your past sessions. Have you grown? Have you gotten better? If so, keep going. Keep going. Keep pushing through. And it's okay to mute other people. It's okay to not follow them for a while. We had to do that because it was getting in our head and we were struggling and we would bicker at each other and fight at each other because
we weren't being like that photographer.
Right.
You're
and
not shooting like that one.
That's so much pressure on you to try to be like somebody that you're not. And they're in a whole different place in business with way more experience than you. So just take that pressure off and mute them and just keep comparing yourself only to yourself.
Yeah. Look, I would say, yeah. So do that. Look for, if you need to get education on how to shoot during that 0 to 2 year mark, only look for YouTube videos or people or educators like us or others that are saying that can teach you settings, that can teach you like things like that. Don't look at those photographers or find those people that you're trying to compare your work to. Learn the craft. That way you can get better at the craft. Because you got to realize, with photography, everything is so subjective. The way I look at something is different from the way Ashley looks at some things, and I get mad at her because she doesn't see the things I see.
You get mad at me?
Well, I used to probably internally, not like, I don't get like yell at you or anything, but like,
better not.
But there's been times, we'll be at a wedding. I'm like, don't you see this? And she's like, I don't see what you're talking about. And then, so those are those things that we have to figure out as a husband and wife team in our roles and all that fun stuff. But you just need to focus on how to grow your business, how to get the settings figured out, and then compare yourself to yourself. And then I would say by the time you get into year 2 or 3, is when you begin to need to mute yourself from a lot of those photographers. Because we're going to talk about that in season 2, what should be those next steps in the 3 to 5 year mark. And I'll tell you one now is that you need to be able to know how to find yourself and begin to create your own brand and who you are. And that comes with muting yourself, because you can't copy us. You can't be a cookie cutter of somebody else. You can copy techniques like placing someone. If there's a tree in the field and there's backlight, and you put the tree in front of the sun, and you use that to help diffuse the light, and you've got a nice backdrop setting at golden hour, and it looks really good, and you have the person in front of all that stuff, if you can visually see that in your mind and create that picture, that's going to look great. And that anyone can necessarily do that, but there's other factors that get pulled into play there that is going to come down to your own personal aesthetic, your own personal style, your brand. Who and what is your brand look. So like you can look at other photographers and be like, oh, that's so and so. Oh, that's so and so, because you can see their work, their style, how they shoot it, the aesthetics, color, editing. Whew. All those things in the next season we'll talk about.
Yes, and if you're still here.
Let's see, what else about comparison? I would say at this moment in time as well, don't compare your process to other people. I think the 0 to 2 year mark is such a crucial foundation laying mark, because you've got to figure out like what works for you, like your processes. Like, do I charge this much? Do I charge that much? How do I know what to charge? How do I know how to deal with this client, or what email should I send? And I love trial and error. No one's going to hate you because you sent a wrong email. They might not book you maybe, but this gives you an opportunity to really test the waters on, oh man, I shouldn't send it that way, or maybe I shouldn't charge that much, or maybe I should charge more, or this. You're exploring all that stuff. This is like you figuring it out right now. Mm-hmm. You're not going to have it figured out. It's taken us many years to get things figured out.
Yeah, don't get caught up in all of that.
Like thinking that you have to have this all figured out right now in order to go into the future, which you don't. I personally don't think you need to. There's things you do and you will, but
yeah, business is all about constantly innovating and changing, and you're going to constantly evolve. So whatever you come up with now in the 0 to 2 year mark, it's going to change in that 3 to 5 year and on, because you're going to evolve. So, and
you're going to get different clientele. The clientele you have at 0 to 2 are going to be your low end, low paying, sometimes the most difficult clients that you're going to run into trying to just book your services when you get to the year 3 or 5, especially when it comes to weddings. That's when, in my opinion, you start to get the bridezillas, because you start getting these girls that are, their expectations are different. I'm paying you $2,500, $3,000 for a wedding services, and I expect the world from you. Whereas like you get up to the high end, the luxury side, where you're paying $15,000, $20,000 for a wedding, and these people are just like, cool, shoot wedding, I trust you completely, off you go. And then there's expectations, but it's different. The expectations you have at the luxury mark is way different than you have at the 0 to 2 year mark. So that constant innovation, that constant change in how you do things and approach things happens as you adapt to new clients and new things. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Was that good? Mm-hmm. Was that a nugget right there? I don't know if that was a good nugget. I think it was great. No. All right. What else for the 0 to 2?
I think that's it.
That's it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Don't get discouraged. Get discouraged, but don't get discouraged. I think it's okay to feel. Ash is so much. You're getting Luke and Ashley raw and uncut. Okay, that's the slogan, the logo on the podcast. Get discouraged. Understand why you're getting discouraged, and dig yourself out of that, and start your race, or pick yourself back up and keep moving forward. There was this fun analogy on our original podcast we started like back in 2017 that we did some trial and error with. When we were deep into comparison, I'm talking probably years 5 through 8, maybe 9, probably in our year 8 or 9, I was heavily comparing ourselves to another husband and wife photography team, and it got to the point that I was like, dang, this is hard. Like doing the business, living the life was really difficult because I was heavily comparing it. I was trying to push Ashley into a direction of it, and it was really tough. But then it dawned on me that the success of these other photographers is going to be different than our success. And I like analogies, and I came up with this analogy, and it's a mountain and us running a race. If we all started our race at the same starting line, right? It's almost like Mario Kart or some of these. I'm trying to think of a video game that has something like this. But think of a video game. You spawn into this world, and in front of you is a mountain, and everybody at the starting line has to go over this mountain, and that mountain is your business, your success. It's anything that's in your way that you have to get over to get to where you want to get to. And all of us are going to start this race with a secret package or a secret object that's going to help us climb this mountain. And we don't know what that is. Some of us are going to start off with a rocket jetpack. Some of us are only going to start off with a bundle of rope. Some of us are going to start off with a donkey loaded up with supplies and a rope and a team that's going to help us. Someone else is going to start up with a car. I don't know if there's a road on this mountain. I didn't get that far into it.
It's your mountain.
It's my mountain. My analogy. Somebody else is going to start up with an airplane. Who knows a hot air balloon? Who knows? And we all start at the same time, right? And as we start trying to go over this mountain, you're going to look over and you're going to see somebody with that jetpack like, I win, I got the jetpack, and then off the mountain they go, and and you look at them and you're like, they're succeeding, they're doing so well, and I'm stuck here with my rope, and I gotta rope climb and rock climb my way up to this mountain. But the difference between those two aspects is the person who got the rocket pack never got a chance yet to experience the hardships or some of the things that you had to deal with as you climbed that mountain. The things and lessons that you were able to establish and build in that foundation were learned early in the business, whereas that person with the rocket pack had to learn that later in the business.
Yeah,
or at some other point. I know.
That's a nugget.
And so that was the big thing, was that your business, your life is going to be unconventional. And that was the name of our first podcast, the unconventional.life. And I think it's still out there. You can look for it. It's a train wreck, but it's out there. So your life is going to be unconventionally different from the other photographer, the other person that's pursuing their photographic career. And it's very easy for you to see that. Like, man, I wish I would have got the jetpack. But if you got the jetpack, you wouldn't have learned that you need to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G in your business or for your own personal life or for your family. Like when we started, we had 3 kids. Most of the photographers in our area or people we were looking at started their photography business with no kids. So, and they probably weren't in debt like we were with $86,000 in debt and all this other stuff. And we had a full-time job. And so we're trying to solve problems of how do we do babysitting? How do we do this? How do we do that with kids? How do we do this with our business and balanced work life, where these other photographers are like, yo, we ain't got kids. We ain't got any of that. We're going to go to Iceland and go travel, or we're going to go across the world. And we would look at that and say, man, I wish we could do that. Why aren't we there? Why aren't we getting those bookings? And why can't we travel? And our life and our journey is completely different. So you just got to think about that comparison. Like, it's going to be different for you, but how can you establish some of these foundational truths or foundational, things to get you there? Now at year 10, I think it was, or 9, we went to our first destination wedding, was Mexico, Cabo. Back in 2017, we went to Jamaica in 2016. Well, that was our second one, was Cabo. Went to Mexico again. We've gone to Key West. We've gone all over the United States: San Francisco, Seattle, Chicago, New York City, Florida, Colorado, New Mexico, like all these different locations, Arizona. We went to all these different spots, Texas, and we didn't try to think of it all, Georgia, and then we've done all these things, and North Carolina, Outer Banks. Okay, yeah, sorry.
Stop.
Okay, so anyway, so you get to do all these things, and it just takes time. You might get to do it early in your business, or it's going to have to be later. It's just your journey is going to be different.
That was really good.
Tell me again. Pat me on the shoulder.
That was really good.
Good, awesome.
That was really good advice, and I think, there's really nothing that we can really add to that, because
I'm done. Mic drop.
Yeah, mic drop.
No.
Because it is your journey, and your journey's going to look different, and that is okay. And you're just going to have to keep reminding yourself that over and over again when you're looking at other people. Like, your journey, your life circumstances, things that you have in front of you, it's different.
Yeah.
And as long as you're growing, and as long as you see your growth, that's all that matters.
All that matters. That's all that matters. Take the advice that you can from others, adapt it how it can fit into your business, and continue to push forward with your business. Cool. Well, that was it.
That was it.
We stayed on time too, man. Awesome. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I believe this is the last episode of season 1, episode 8, and comparison. We're going to have a few bonus episodes coming out here soon in this season. And then we're going to start working on season 2 here shortly for you guys. But if this season has made an impact for you, if this episode has made an impact for you, please give us a like, give us a follow, subscribe, leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube if it's helped. I would love to hear your story and kind of go from that as well. We're going to bring on some other photographers, do some interviews with them, and at this stage, 0 to 2 year mark, and just kind of talk to them and just provide that to you guys. So that's some of the bonus episodes coming up. We have a bonus episode coming up with a website designer on what you should be doing at this point, and potentially a planner as well. So season 1 is kind of coming to a wraps, but there's a few, like I said, bonus episodes. Thank you for
thank you.
enduring.
This has been fun.
Thank you for enduring her long-winded explanations.
Thanks for hanging on, guys.
All right, guys, we appreciate it, and we will see you guys soon.